All right, cool. Well, today, as we have done in the past, we are going to be going over the product and Canvas review for the February 1st launch of the Master's Renewal product for phase 2. Those of you that joined us on September 1st renewal, awesome, similar process here. We are really excited. We did take some feedback from the last one and incorporate that here, but if there are questions as we go through, please feel free to drop those in the chat. We do have Natalie here monitoring the chat, so if she needs to stop us for any reason to answer those, we can do those out loud. Otherwise, she will be answering those as quickly as possible. All right, so let's get started. We appreciate you guys joining us today and taking the time out of your schedule to learn with us. Today, I'm joined by Natalie Harton, who is the product analyst for private office and storage product lines. Also with me is Keith Driesinga, who is the Hayworth Design Technology Program Manager. I think I got all of that right. And our guide within Canvas during today's session. My name is Amanda Rowe. I am a senior workplace design specialist on the Hayworth application design team, where I specify Master Series product daily. As we go through today's presentation, we will be manning the Teams chat and answering any questions, so feel free to drop those there. We're going to kick off today's training with Natalie to review the why behind the Master's Renewal product. And then we will run through the statement of line updates as well as additions. Next, we'll review some special considerations for a few of these updates. And last, within our overview, we will look at a few discontinuations. Then Keith will review our Master Series updates within Canvas, giving us a preview of the update to the extension that will be available on February 1st. And at wrap up, we'll cover some additional resources that are available for this launch. So to kick things off, Natalie, if you'd give us the why.
Yes, so as many of you know, especially from the first training, but then also just through updates that we've had, we're really going through and updating all of the Master Series product line to make it more relevant for the market. This is for a few reasons. One, just to make it relevant, to make it competitive and a desirable product, but then two, to make it easier to specify for all of you so you don't have to do as many tailored solutions. So there's a few ways that we started off really as a tailored solutions to standard project, but then as we were going through that, we realized that there's many other design details that we wanted to add to the product line just to make it what we wanted it to be today, and that weren't necessarily being ordered with tailored solutions. So as Amanda mentioned, with the first launch in September, we did all the open-sided shelving, all the wall-mounted products. And with this launch, we're doing all the storage pieces, so lower and freestanding storage.
All right, thanks, Natalie. Let's get started here. We've got some general product updates, and these updates cover several different products across the Master Series product line. In general, we're providing the optionality for toe kick or no toe kick on all lower and freestanding storage. We're also expanding our pull offering, and with that, there will be some pricing changes between the pull types. So similar to what we have currently for our pricing structure for Behold and X Series when it comes to pulls. Starting February 1st, you will have the option to either include or exclude a toe kick on lower and freestanding storage within the Master Series product line. Before February 1st, the standard was to include a toe kick. With the desire for a cleaner and sleek aesthetic, we are now offering the opportunity to remove the toe kick, thus extending the front, which would either be the door or the drawer of the product, to the bottom of the case where the toe kick would previously have been. This change will now position the no toe kick version to be our entry level or new standard entry level, with then the toe kick version then being available at an additional upcharge. With this additional functional option, an additional catalog code indicating either Y for a toe kick, yes for toe kick, or N, no for no toe kick, will be needed to be added at the end of the storage catalog string manually. This is for anything that is being done before the 2.1 launch and update to the catalog. So after the 2.1 launch, Anything like that will update automatically based on your selection, but just so you're aware, that's the change that's occurring. So number 4 in that catalog code. So an example here, starting February 1st, an open file 1.5 high lateral will now include a 4th specifiable option in the catalog logic. If I selected a no toe kick, I would have an N at the end of the catalog code. Another example would be if I had a project that was standardized to include toe kicks on all the storage previously. This catalog code would now need to be updated to include a Y, which would indicate the inclusion of a toe kick on that product. This is something to call out as it affects all Master Series lower and freestanding storage parts and will cause errors when validating pricing if not updated to include that 4th option. And that specifically is for anything that has been priced prior to the 2.1 launch. Obviously, post 2.1, when you're updating drawings or you're, sipping out from files that you've created after the 2.1 update, that will automatically come through. But prior to that, you'll want to make sure that you have that indicated. And we'll go through a couple more examples of that as we walk through some of these slides, but just so you're aware. With this feature update, there will be some pricing structure changes as well. In all, utilizing the no toe kick option will be the entry-level price point, incurring no upcharges. If a toe kick option is desired, there will be a slight upcharge to the overall product, depending on the storage unit that is being specified. The biggest takeaway here is that the no toe kick model will be the entry-level price, providing the most competitive pricing with an updated, modern, and sleek look. Due to the new catalog logic that will go into place starting February 1st, any pricing for these storage pieces affected that has been created before February will error out when validated against a date after 2.1. You can see my part numbers in spec have follow the previous logic and therefore will provide an error when I validate against a date of after 2.1. In spec, I have added manually a Y at the end of my storage catalog code. This indicates that the storage will include a toe kick and now matches the updated catalog code. There you can see I've added the Y. And now when I go to validate my pricing within spec against a date after that 2.1 launch, I do not get an error description and the product validates.
I do want to interrupt really quick. Brianna said that she can only see the cover slide. Is everyone else seeing the slides that Amanda is showing with the toe kick optionality? Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
I say she probably just needs to back out of the meeting and then come back in, and that might correct it.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, guys. Sorry. So again, this slide is just indicating what needs to be updated prior to the 2.1 launch. So if you are currently working on a project and validating out past the 2.1 launch date, you will need to enter this additional functionality code at the end of your catalog string. If you are creating drawing files after you have updated on 2.1, that optionality will automatically come in with that product. It's only things that you have created prior to the 2.1 date that would need to be updated. Another update across all Master Series storage will be the addition of the wing and blade poles. You are likely familiar with these poles from our Behold product line, but these two offerings will be available as standard within the Masters product line starting February 1st. Wing and blade poles are available with any standard trim paint finish. The linear pole is also getting a well-deserved update. This pole will be available with a painted finish along with the original satin nickel option still being available. The linear pole will be available in any standard trim paint finish. Should you wish to utilize the standard satin nickel finish, simply include the finish code TRNP. Easy way to remember it, NP stands for no paint, within your finish string, typically before the lock ring finish code. Keep in mind, blade and finger pulls are only specifiable on drawers. If using either of these pulls and the unit includes doors and drawers, the doors will include a touch latch as standard. Master Series will also follow a pricing structure with multiple pricing upcharges or tiers for these pulls. As you can see, the linear pull will remain as the entry-level pull option with no additional upcharge. Touch latch similarly would be like this. Working from the lowest to highest upcharges, you have the classic pull, the bar pull, the blade pull, the finger pull, and lastly, the wing pull. These these upcharges are shown in list value here, so please keep this in mind when you're going through your pricing. It is always important to validate your pricing through links to ensure that proper discounting is applied. All right, similar to the toe kick, no toe kick functionality, we do have some updates that if you're validating any pricing prior to that 2/1 launch, if you're validating anything out past that date and you've currently specified it, with the linear pull, you're going to have to make some manual updates until we have the 2/1 launch date. So due to the new finish optionality on the linear pull that will go into place starting February 1st, any pricing for these storage pieces affected that has been created before February will error out when validating against the February 1st date. When specifying a linear pull, a TR finish code will need to be added, typically between the case finish code and the lock code. To add this finish code to the to the catalog string within a PMX file, select the part number and edit part options. When the edit part options dialog box opens, so there's what you'll see on your screen. There's a little plus sign. You'll need to click that and that will add a finish option. If there is a lock code or a lock finish in place, that code needs to be copied and moved as to the bottom line. So just make sure that your structure of your finishes is still appropriate. Finishes then can be added for the TR finish can then be added for the linear pull in the correct order. So there you see on my screen, you've added in that line, copied down your lock ring color, and I'm able to now type in manually my TRNP brushed nickel finish option. Once that trim finish line is in place, you can obviously add any paint finish that you want. That's part of the part of the Hayworth standard paint finish line. After all of that is completed, you can close out and revalidate this line, and it will run through dynamic pricing and/or links, and will validate with the updated finish stringer and correct pricing for the product. We all know that these catalog updates don't simply snap into place on existing pricing files that have been created prior to the February 1st launch. If you have any questions or concerns with the existing specifications that need to be updated to reflect the new catalog logic, please reach out to the Wood Marketing inbox at woodmarket@hayworth.com, and we will have a team of design resources available starting now through March 31st to help with these catalog updates that may need to be implemented on existing pricing files. All right. Phase 2 will include some new products, but mainly updates to features or configurations of existing products based on accumulation of project requests. As a reminder, one of the largest goals of Masters Renewal is to provide standard product offering for our most frequently requested tailored solutions. Many of these components you may be familiar with already through tailored solutions or customization on your own, but we're going to dive into here how we have updated and standardized them for Masters Renewal. Masters Renewal Phase 2 will provide the addition of a 1.5 high box file attached pedestal. Also included will be a 2-high box file lateral. Both items will offer the option for a toe kick or no toe kick and will be available with any of our standard pull offerings. The attached storage unit with hinge doors will also receive an update and now includes a 1.5 high option, as well as a 42-inch wide version. The 1.5 high storage cabinet that is designed to be used with convergent applications, particularly this one is commonly used with the height adjustable convergent table, is also gaining another specifiable option. Currently, Master Series offers this cabinet with or without a finished back applied. Depending on the application you are planning for, starting February 1st, we will have an extended end panel version. This unit will include an open back, therefore providing access to from the convergent cavity through to the wall behind. However, it will provide this at full depth, meaning you will get a product that matches other Master Series products with finished back dimensions. So the cabinet will either be 18 3/4 inches deep to be used under a 19-inch surface, or 23 3/4 inches deep to be used under a 24-inch deep surface. Again, what that means is that the case itself will not include a finished back, therefore remaining open to the wall behind it, but will be included at a depth that matches all other storage components that have a finished back. I think it's helpful to understand the planning thought when we're using this item. So let's go through that and kind of go through the thought process a little bit. So the first option would be to specify this unit with an added finished back. This is a great option for when the convergent application may be away from a wall or visible from the back side. It does limit the function of accessing through the case, so it would not typically be used in applications against a wall where you might need wall power access. With this added 3/4 inch panel, you would either have a case that's 18 3/4 inches deep or 23 3/4 inches deep, still providing that convergent cavity, but would be closed off on the back. The no finished back version is a convergent case that provides open access through the convergent cavity to the wall behind the case. Since the convergent cabinet provides access from the front of the storage side through a drop-down interior back panel. So what that means is in that shelf position, you can have that shelf removed and there is a panel that is screwed into place. You can have that removed and then provide access to the convergent cavity behind it, which we typically would see a height adjustable leg. But then beyond that, there would be the wall where power is typically routed. While this case is a great solution for applications where it is nested between other storage pieces and therefore not seen from the sides, the 1-inch gap that it creates at the back of the cabinet is not always desired. As with other Master Series storage, when specifying a no back option, the case will either measure that 18-inch deep or 23-inch deep depth to be used with 19 and 24-inch deep tops, respectively. So now with Renewal, we are introducing the extended end panel option, which provides a cleaner aesthetic when specifying the storage unit at the front of an application or where the ends or sides would be visible from the side. The extended end panel version takes the sides and adds 3/4 of an inch in depth to make this case depth align with other Master Series storage with finished backs. It reduces the visible gap at the back of this case when installed with a credenza top while still providing access through the convergent cavity to the wall behind. This is a great solution for an application like we have shown in the image here, where the cabinet is at the front of the office run or the front of the office typical. Now the desk leg power can route down through that cavity into the wall power behind the case without any little peeking wires through on that little gap that used to be there on the side. So it's completely concealed to the visitor side, creating a really clean aesthetic as well. Corner shell desks will have an additional optionality for our veneer surfaces to better align with our veneer best practices. Grain direction will now be specifiable based on the application for veneer product. To align with our veneer specification best practices, we would recommend running horizontal veneer surfaces that connect or attach in a similar direction. This limits your risk of polarization or coloring variation based on light reflectance between veneer surfaces. With this, you will see that option 5 will provide either an L or an R for veneer surfaces, which allows you to select a grain direction running to the left of the user when seated in the corner or to the right of the user when seated in the corner. These directional options only apply to veneer, and laminate will still be available in a diagonal direction only. As a reminder, currently veneer is only available in a diagonal as well. So this is an update to keep in mind if you are replacing product. Veneer is going to be either left or right. Laminate will be diagonal. I think I said that correctly.
Yes, you
Good. Similarly, bridge and return tops will allow for widths to be specified with front to back or side to side grain direction for veneer surfaces. Laminate surfaces will remain available in side to side grain direction as standard, but can be selected with front to back grain direction through a tailored solution. To align our veneer specification best practices, we recommend running horizontal veneer surfaces that connect or attach in a similar direction. This limits the risk of polarization or color variation based on light reflectance between veneer surfaces. So those of you that remember in phase 1, we updated our credenza tops and common tops to allow for this within veneer. So you have all the sizes available, not just those limited few for front to back grain direction with veneer surfaces. Same thing goes here now. We've extended that to include the bridge and return tops. So Master Series wardrobe is also being updated. It's getting a facelift we're so excited about. It will provide more size combinations as well as more storage functionality. Along with the existing 24-inch deep storage, the wardrobe unit will now be available in a 19-inch deep depth to align with our 19-inch deep storage product within Masters. Adding to that, we will have a 12-inch wide and a 19-inch wide version, which will go along with our current 16-inch wide option. In alignment with Hayward's support guidelines, we require that the 12-inch wide version attach to adjacent storage product or a wall. Also included in this wardrobe overhaul is the fact that there will now be 2 coat hooks that will be included along with the coat rod. This is very similar to Behold, so if you all are familiar with the Behold wardrobe styling, Master Series will now, starting 2-1, include, it's not specified, it is always included, the coat rod with 2 coat hooks. The last update to any of the wardrobe units, so anything that includes a wardrobe, could be the wardrobe itself, it could be the PST, could be the combo unit. The last update is that there will be pre-drills included at the lower interior of the case. These pre-drills will allow for the installation of a separately specified boot shelf, which is our next item to review. So we are launching a fixed shelf to be used within any of the Master Series wardrobe units, which includes any storage piece that houses a wardrobe or valet feature. This shelf will need to be specified separately from the storage unit. It is designed to sit at 15 inches above the bottom of the unit, which aligns with the lower lateral datum line. This shelf is to be installed utilizing the pins that are provided with it and can be used to add more storage functionality within the wardrobe itself. Pre-drills are provided within the wardrobe unit, and as we discussed on the previous slide, so keep that in mind going forward, there will be pre-drills in those wardrobes for this shelf specifically. When specifying these shelves, it is important to refer to your Master Series specification guide in the price book. This guide will have a chart showcasing the recommended shelf width based on the size and unit you are using it within. Keith will also go into some demonstrations because many of us specify within Canvas, and it's very important to understand how you'll be able to include that. So Keith will go through that in the next section. But just to start it off, the guide will have a chart showcasing the recommended shelf width based on the size of the unit that you are using. For example, if you are ordering a 12-inch wide by 19-inch deep laminate wardrobe unit and you wanted to order a fixed shelf, you would order the part number XXAS-19, which would fit within that. 1912, which would then fit within the 19-inch deep by 12-inch wide case. At that point, you would receive a shelf that is nominally sized to that, but actually sized at 17 inches deep by 10 and 10.41 inches wide to fit within this wardrobe unit. All right, so there are some special considerations to go through today. 2 of our Master Series products will have different options available at launch. Both the pedestal desks and reception stations will include the option for the painted linear pole only. Blade and wing options will not be available as standard on these pre-configured products. These 2 components will also only offer a toe kick version on the storage. Due to this, the catalog logic would not need to be updated for these parts to have the extra N or Y at the end of the catalog code. Due to the linear pole painted option update, you would need to add a finish code for the pole for any linear pole product, which will be placed before the lock ring color code in the finish stringer. If you should require a pedestal desk with some of these new options, such as the blade pull, wing pull, or no toe kick on your storage, you can work to specify each component separately to create the final desired desk assembly. You can also request a tailored solution for either of these options to add those new features, such as the wing pull or the blade pull. One additional consideration would be hinged door storage pieces. My assumption is that everyone is pretty familiar with this with Behold, but as with Behold, hinged door storage pieces will not include a blade pull option. This is due to the application of this pull and possible interference that it can cause when opening the doors. Keep this in mind when specifying hinged door storage products like wardrobes and stack-on storage units within doors. This is not something that you need to specifically know when you're or apply when you're specifying. It will automatically do it correctly within CET when you are specifying those products, but it is something to keep in mind. It's not an error that it doesn't have one on a door. That blade pull is a problem when you mount it on a door unit because it interferes with cases nearby and the case itself. One more quick note, if there is a combination, I touched on this previously, there's a combination of doors and drawers on a storage unit, such as the PST or personal storage tower, a finger or blade pull are specified, the hinge doors would feature a touch latch on those units specifically, with the finger or blade pull applied to the drawers only. All right, so some discontinuations. I believe that these were announced at the end of Q4 for Masters Series, but just so we can highlight them here if you are concerned or if you have some confusion or questions on these. As announced previously in Q4, several items with low order volumes will be discontinued. These include versions of the pedestal desk with inset modesties, as well as bow top desks. Also included are half and full wedge convergent work surfaces. I will state this does not include any height adjustable wedge or radius wedge or half wedge. These are going to be those fixed convergents that you can see on the desk, or excuse me, on the screen right here. Reception tack boards are also being discontinued, and dealers who need to utilize these are encouraged to follow the KUAF stretch and pull tack board process for ordering these in the future. Lastly, the Master Series Square side table with disc base is also being discontinued due to low volume. Partners are encouraged to review the Plains or Jive table offering. Components can be sourced through eParts if needed. However, customers standardized on these components should begin looking at other options available within the standard statement of line. All right, Keith is next up. He's going to demonstrate the updates to Master Series within Canvas.
Right, 1 second while I take over the screen. Oh, where did Canvas go? All right. Like that. All right, so I'll be going in a slightly different order than Amanda went in, only because I don't want to make you too seasick because I'm going to be doing it all in Canvas. So I'll be sliding along the screen, so I don't want to jump around too much. So we're going to handle the stuff that she actually stopped with the discontinuations first, because they're right at the top of Canvas. So the ones that we're getting rid of are the full and halfback wedge convergence. So you'll see this is what Canvas will look like come February 3rd. And this, I just took a screenshot of what it looks like today. So you can see this one will be gone. And that handles both the half and the full wedge. And then also the square top disc base. And then inside the head desks, we'll be getting rid of the bow top option. And so there won't be any top shape option anymore because it will only be rectangular, as well as we're going to get rid of the option to choose your modesty type because now it'll only be the full modesty. You won't have the false head or the inset options. Note, this does not change any drawings that already exist. So if you have this already specified in a drawing and come February 3rd, you download the updates and get this, we are not going to change this over. You would, if you want to remove those options because you didn't order it yet, you can go in and you'd have to click on each one of these and change them back. But if it came in, it'll come in with that. It'll just give you the model number that was associated to these. So when you look at your calculations or query dialog, it's going to show that that part does not exist anymore. So it's not going to change anything. So if you have it in an install, it's not going to go away. So you don't have to worry about knowing what it is once this change takes effect. So, and that's common with anything that we're doing in here, but there's a couple things coming up. So I'll cover that in that as well, just to make sure. So I'm going to look at these for a second and cover several different things. So the no toe kick option in Canvas, anything new that comes in, we are going to default to the no toe kick option because toe kick is the one before this that previously everything automatically came in. So the default from now on, new stuff will all get the no toe kick. But if, like I said with the previous group, if you have it already specified as no toe kick, it's going to come in and what is supposed to happen is it's going to change your default in your scheme because it's going to look at what you had and assume that that's what you want, that you want no toe kick because you already have some in the drawing. So just to match that, it's not saying you can't revert it to toe kick or the no toe kick option. It's just, we don't want you to start pulling in new product because you started this drawing the day before and now you're doing it the day after you updated and you're going to get all new product that doesn't match what you currently have. So we're going to try to match what you have in the drawing, but with things like this, you always have to be careful, but we're trying to help. So all you have to do, if you don't want that, the schemes are linked to the insertion of the symbols. So if you change any of those options in the scheme, it's going to automatically change it as your default moving forward. But as I was saying, it is an option in the schemes, so you can change a whole drawing at one time. It's also in each individual unit. So any unit that has the toe kick option, it will have it in the green boxes as well. So you have two ways of changing it, and you can do the mass drawing through the scheme. And let's see, so moving on. The poll updates. We have added the polls, and just know we cannot retain the value of the linear poll. So the linear poll without specifying the code for the finish, we can't maintain that with the way the code is structured. So any old drawings will now open and they will have a code for, and it'll be the code or the model number for the linear poll with a code. But Canvas is defaulting everything because there is no undecided option for the polls at this time. We're defaulting it now to be the nickel finish. So if you have it already in the drawing, it'll change the model number, but it will give it automatically, it'll give it the nickel finish. So you're actually getting what's actually in the drawing when you made it. So that should help a little bit. So we're not going to change the finish automatically to something undecided or change. So if it is an existing drawing, where it should not mess that up and you have to guess what finish it was when it arrived last year. So hopefully that helps. So yes, linear pole, wing pole, and the blade pole. So the wing pole and the blade pole are now in the pole section here. And they also have their finish options as well as the linear pole has finish options. Is there anything else I'm missing with that? Oh, as far as doors versus drawers. So currently, I think we did this just a few months ago with the finger pull. We went through, so if you do the finger pull using the pull options here on the right, if you apply the finger pull to an option that is only doors, the way we set it up is it's going to automatically change that component to be a touch latch. Although the bar does not call it a blade pull plus touch latch, it is doing the same thing. So if you were to go through your drawing and you're just clicking around and you are doing it 2D and you're not really looking at what you're actually touching, if you touch something that's doors only, it's going to change it to touch latch because we're under the assumption that if you had linear pull on there and you changed everything else in the drawing to blade, you're going to want touch latch on that door option as opposed to us leaving the linear pull on there. So note that is happening as you're clicking around. It does the same thing with finger pull. We just made that one do that too. Same thing in schemes. If you apply to your whole drawing and say you want blade pull on the whole drawing, anything that's doors only will automatically get touch latch. So we don't want the same situation where you globally make a change and then have all these door units that have linear pulls still on them when the rest have blade pulls. So note that is happening. So if that is not desired, definitely feel free to voice that through CET, through the help dropdown. Anything today that I'm saying, if you have better suggestions, please give us suggestions on how we can do things better. We'd always like to improve it, and you guys are the ones using it. So definitely complain if you don't like something, because I listen to you. So no, and I steal all your ideas and pretend they're mine. But if you get what you want, I win too. So that's all good. So for the wardrobes themselves, this one has the 24 added to it, the 24 depth. So now there's additional options with this one. So when you bring it in, you'll also get the depth options. It also has the additional width option of 16. So it was, or 12 and 19, correct? Correct. So there was only 16. Now we have 12, 19, and 16 as options when you bring it in. The boot shelf option that was brought up recently. So that's why these three are in here currently. So with the boot shelf, we currently are not drawing the insides. as Kate brought up in the chat. She was asking about whether it'll ghost the front like we do in other ones. This is definitely being considered, but currently, when these were originally drawn, we did not draw the interiors of anything. We maybe drew the interiors, but we did not necessarily draw them accurately. Because with AutoCAD, you can't open the doors for sure on most things. So if they didn't draw the insides, we didn't draw the insides. Anything you couldn't see, we didn't draw. So some things have interior things inside them, but nothing was ever checked to make sure that it was accurate. So we need to go back through, and this is definitely on the plan, along with other things. We need to go through and update a lot of our graphics, and that is something we're talking about. But for now, the option is when you select these options, we are giving you the option in here to select a boot shelf, and then we will give you the correct sized ones to fit in that unit that you're selecting. There isn't a scheme option for it, so you can't do it globally, but you can get it without having to find a pick list and locate where the bookshelves are located in the list of everything. So same thing. So anything that has it, so same with these, they all have the boot shelf option. And that just adds one. So if for some reason you need more than one, you can just go into calculations. It just, once you bring the one in, just go into calculations and then add it to the count of it so you can get more, so you don't have to go through and make a pick list for all these things. So next, up this down. So for the grain direction, here is another situation where you might have existing drawings that have the existing grain direction for the wood. If you have old drawings that have the diagonal wood already on it, we are not going to change that when it brings it in, but it is going to keep the model number associated to that. So it is going to error out, but we don't want to decide and change something. So in your reconfigure, you don't know what the grain direction is. We're keeping it. That being said, if you change this to be either a left or right grain direction, you will not be able to change it back to the diagonal. So if you think you need a diagonal grain direction, make sure that you save one as a favorite in the back. You'll be able to do all the same things. All the options will be there. It's just the model number will just be the old model number. So as long as you don't change the grain direction, it will keep that as long as you have it. And then anything, and currently, and what will happen, actually, we just found this out last week. If you bring one of these in through a favorite right now, for February when it launches, if you bring it in as a favorite, it's going to automatically change anything new that you bring in. So if you happen to bring in a favorite this month, it's gonna try to make the one that comes in next a diagonal too. We got that already fixed, but it won't be until March. But that's only if you happen to bring it in as a favorite. If it's a new drawing, it's not going to be a problem, or an existing drawing, it's not going to be a problem. It's just for some reason with the favorites, it's thinking that you want to copy that option moving forward, so it just keeps making diagonal ones. But you can undo it. It's not that it's unfixable. So in that off chance, just keep that in mind. If you see diagonal, you need to definitely check and correct it if you're ordering it. And then with the bridge and the return, same thing as Amanda was saying earlier, we added the options to go back to back or back to front grain directions on the 54 and the 60 now. So that should all be working come next week. And then where did these go? Oh, it didn't. I was going to bring them in. All right. So for the attached ped, looking at my notes to make sure I'm not getting them wrong. The attached ped was only a 2 high, and now we've added the 1.5 high. So when that comes in, there is now a 1.5 high. option, which there was no height option before at all. With the lateral file, we added the box file option. So if you're too high, now you have the box file option. With the attached storage units, this one now comes as 1.5 high, where before it did not have a height option, it was only 2 high. The 1.5 high storage, so that's down in the height adjustable section, this one right here. This one has the extended back, so now when you place it, before it used to be a checkbox that was just, you could choose to have a back or no back. Now, when you select it, it's not a checkbox anymore, so back is just one of the choices you have. So you have the no back now, back panel, which just adds the back panel on, or you can do the extended back, which is a no panel, and it just goes further back. So all in one button, you need that. And I feel like I'm running through this very quickly. Last thing, just a couple things that we enhanced since phase 1 that I just want to cover again. And one other thing too, the metal shelves. When it first was launched, the thought was that you'd never want the metal shelves without the laminate tiles. But of course, day 1, they already decided on Amanda's team that they want to just place the metal shelves, of course. So months ago we added it. So it's a little backwards now that I'm looking at it, but to get or just the shelves, you have to uncheck the tiles and then you'll get just one shelf. Doesn't matter how many you had, it's going to default it down to just one because we don't know where you're going to want to put them in. We assume you're going to want to be able to move them around a bit, so you'll just have to copy this one. It will retain for a while what it had. So if you decide to put the tiles back on, it's going to remember that this is what you had. If you close the drawing and reopened it, it probably won't remember that, and it might default you to something random. But while you have the drawing open, so if you accidentally turn them off and then realize you're like, oh no, I got to turn them back on, it still retains how many tiles you had and how many shelves you had, as long as you're in the drawing. The spacer kit technically will be launched come February 3rd, but
Spacer kits are already launched.
the pick list.
Yes.
So yes, the pick list for it. So that was something else I wanted to remind you too, and I'm hoping most people already know that one, so I got to do this. We do have the option in the Work Tools tab for the ability to bring in we keep calling it the stretch and pull tack board, but the tack board that you can make any size you want within the limitations of what the tile can do, and it'll even tell you if it gets too long or too tall with the materials that you had. But we do not have the ability to put the spacers on this one yet, which a lot of people have been asking for. We're still looking into that. There's some behind the scenes stuff that we're trying to work through with this to get this one actually into the masters tab and create a masters version of this that's closer to masters when you're working. But for this one currently, we don't have the spacers, but if you go back to your masters tab, we added a pick list in here now. So you don't have to go searching for it. You still will need to understand the rules, and Amanda, I think, is going to handle this right after this. You're going to have to know the rules of like how you can split them up based on the size of your unit or how many that you need, but you don't have to go searching for the codes anymore. We at least have this pick list in here where you can choose. The pack is how many spacers are in the pack, and then you just need to choose the quantity, and we will automatically, based on the ones you're looking for, we'll automatically put that into your calculation. So it's a little bit of a help. We didn't draw them. We could have put them in as something you could draw, but then we'd run into the problem where as soon as we do that, someone's gonna be like, well, I want to cut these all up and like spread them all over the building, and I'm like, we wouldn't be able to do that easily.
Yep.
So better than put something in there that you can't use the best way you want to. We're giving you this so you can at least get to the model numbers quicker. So hopefully that will help, and especially with what Amanda will cover next, because that is all I have.
All right. Feel the screen back. Never sure if it's going to jump back to the wrong screen or the right one. It went to the wrong one. So
It was like it loaded for
It
a minute
did,
to the right
and
one.
then it was like,
Oh.
that's kidding.
Oh, that is something. Oh, I thought that.
All right.
I was like, oh.
I promise it would be there fast. I love it. Okay, so as Keith mentioned, we are going to talk about wall-mounted spacers. So we have this wonderful thing called stretch and pull tack boards, which some of you might be familiar with more the terminology of KUAF-XXX, which refers to the actual part number itself. But with stretch and pull tack boards, they are now able to be used, and we've been promoting them to be used within the master's private office applications to hopefully kind of reduce the amount of tailored solutions that we require. As Keith mentioned, it is used across the board within multiple product lines. So not always do the applications that we're thinking of for master series or private office apply to maybe what you're utilizing within a workstation or other application. That being said, we have wall-mounted spacers that were launched with phase 1 for glass as well as tack boards. The tack board and glass tile spacers are application specific, and these are sold in kits with a quantity of 2 or 3 or 4 total spacers, and a variety of thicknesses. There's actually 2 to allow for alignment between wall-mounted components within differing thicknesses. For example, you have them for glass tiles. You can see on this image in the lower corner where maybe my mouse will hover and be cooperative. There we go. We are showing here that you would have a glass tile and a tack board. If you were to install both of those without any spacers, the glass tile's thickness itself is only about 1/4 inch, and the tack board, when installed, is a little bit deeper than that, significantly actually. So we would recommend utilizing a spacer, which would push the glass tile forward so that it is better aligned with the tack board when installed. So this is to account for those thickness differences between those wall-mounted components. And I should say, it's not just for glass tiles, it's not just for tack boards, but if you're doing an application where you have one of those lovely wood core veneer or laminate finished wall-mounted tile kits, this is also designed to allow for the glass tiles or your tack board adjacent to it to install flush with it. The pick list edition within the Master Series Canvas tab will now allow you to separately specify these spacers within your drawing. This is a wonderful addition to the in the instance that you are using the KUAF stretch and pull tack board, which currently do not have spacers within Canvas. As Keith said, it's a little bit more challenging, but this is a wonderful solution. It is important to detail that the Master Series specification guide includes many graphs and charts indicating the required spacers for each type of application. So if you have your current today Master Series price list, there was an addendum that was released with the September 1st launch for these wall-mounted components. In your spec guide are very clear details regarding the thickness and the quantity that you will need based on your application. So I've just provided one simple snip of what is there, but that is something that you can go and access and get that answer pretty quickly. You will have to open your spec guide, but I think as most of us designers, we start to remember those things pretty quickly and we'll be able to move forward pretty fast with that. If you have any questions during your specifications, I do highly encourage that you consult that Master Series price book and spec guide. There are charts available, as I mentioned. You can also reach out to One Touch Designer, and you can also reach out to HADT if you just need a confirmation that you have it specified correctly. All right, so Keith mentioned this wonderful stretch and pull tack board. Thank you for showing them where it was. At launch, we'll be releasing an updated and revamped version of the price book for Master Series. So I just said it previously, but with the 9/1 or September 1st, 2024 launch of phase 1, that was released as an addendum to the Master Series price book. Now, with the 2/1 launch, we will have a brand new updated Master Series price book. So for those of you who are like me and download those items and save them on your desktop, make sure you update that on February 1st because there will be some exciting new things in there and it is revamped to look more cohesive and follow some of our other price books. So the structure is a little bit different as well. It will include helpful spec details pertaining not only to new products, but also to some of those existing products that maybe we have questions about. Stretch and pull tack boards are one that we get quite often. How do I know I have the right size? How do I know what size to specify? Why wouldn't I just go back to utilizing tailored solutions? Well, our whole goal is that you have the ability to do this on your own quickly and simply, which is why we have the stretch and pull process in place. Knowing that the stretch and pull tack boards have been out for a bit now, we have now included a chart with a recommended sizing based on the application. So this is very difficult to see on your screen. I know. I apologize. That's as big as I could get it. But within your price book and your spec guide, starting on 2/1, this will be included so that you can understand what the stretch and pull tack board size is that you will need to utilize for your Master Series application. So we will show you what the alignment component is. So like my lower storage is 1.5 high. I want to align to the one high open-sided shelf that's mounted to align with 5 high storage. I know that's a lot of alignment conversations, but I think we'll all understand as we get through this. It will provide you the tack board height, not only in inches, but also millimeters. And as a reminder, we always provide that 1/4 inch gap for installation and leveling. That is highly recommended. So the actual height has been given to us based off of our wonderful engineers who calculated everything. We subtract 1/4 inch to make sure that everything fits perfectly. If you are looking for a specific application and a pretty darn perfect fit, I still highly recommend utilizing tailored solutions. It's not that they won't do it, but if you have a specification that is very, very tailored and application specific, I do still recommend utilizing tailored solutions for that tight fit. So, you guys know, I think, Keith, thank you for doing that. Thank you for showing them where this was. But within the Workstation Accessories tab in Canvas, you've got that lovely little tack board that has the blue arrows on it, indicating the stretch and pull process. And the chart that's shown, oops, I went too far, sorry. The chart that is shown here, a version of this will also be included, as I mentioned, in the price book for Master Series, so you know sizing that you should be specifying for standard applications. And lastly, we understand that there will be questions and have done our very best to provide as many resources as possible, but we know that we probably have missed something. So we are looking for your questions. We're looking to help you and support you prior to this launch, but also after this launch while everyone gets situated and adjusted to this. You can head over to the new Master Series Toolkit, which is super exciting. It's a lot easier to find. There is a new location for within Storage and Private Office Toolkit. You can locate Master Series. Yay, awesome. This will include preview PDFs, product sheets, the catalog logic update cheat sheet, as well as some imagery and renderings for your marketing use. I always find these to be very helpful, especially if you are, coordinating a number of people on your team and you need to have updates in one specific location or quick reference documents. The Master Series Toolkit is the first place that I stop to. For general and sales related questions on Master Series, you can connect with Natalie and her team through the Wood Marketing inbox, which is wdmktg@hayworth.com. For Spark Design Specification Update support, you can also connect with our dedicated resources through that same inbox. Dealer designers and specifiers can connect with our one-touch designer designers for application-specific questions. And then questions pertaining to Master Series specification, as well as specification support within Master Series, you can reach out to the Hayworth Application Design Team at hadt@hayworth.com. The Application Team Toolkit will also include updated resources later in February. This will include updates to our VE checklist documents for Master Series, as well as updated sliding scales documents, not only for private office and Master Series, but also for workstations, because we do know that there is pricing increases that will happen kind of at the same time. So we know there's going to be a lot of readjusting to understanding what's next, what's the best, what's the lowest price. So if you have questions in the meantime, do feel free to consult one of the teams on this page. You can always reach out to Keith with questions on Canvas and anything else. Now, Keith loves answering questions.
Sure. I know where you sit. So I'll get you the answer.
Yeah. We really, really appreciate everyone's time today, and we are very much looking forward to this new launch. I think this is a huge one. Everyone is going to be so excited that they don't have to request tailored solutions for those simple things. But if you have any questions regarding anything today, please do feel free to reach out. You can still drop any of those questions in the chat, and we'll do our very best to answer those in a timely fashion. I think at this time, that is all I have. Natalie, anything else?
I just want to say I put it in the chat, but just for everyone who didn't see it, this since it's being recorded, we're going to post this and the presentation on the Master Series Toolkit, hopefully later today, if not in the morning.
Yes. So those of you, if you have a team of designers or salespeople and you're just trying to get an understanding of the updates, we'll make sure you guys have access to that on the toolkit, as Natalie said. And then if they have any questions, you have all of our contact information to reach out to us directly.
And to anyone who got messed up with the time of this, I should have said something earlier too, because someone from Calgary had it already at 11 o'clock. They were showing that it was our time. It was showing that that was the time they were supposed to log in. And now a bunch of people were coming in at 2. So
yeah, so we'll look into what happened there.
But there is a recording for all those people who came in at 2.
Oh, goodness.
But
Okay.
we apologize for that, and we will definitely be looking into what caused that, but
Yes.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
But we do have the recording, so you'll be good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we're looking forward to having some really great response and feedback after February 1st. Yes, we will post the PowerPoint as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.